Hey everyone, Kevin here. I did a video quite a while ago now where I talked about how there is no such thing as a perfect resume and that you should take a lot of the resume and interviewing advice out there with a massive grain of salt, especially if you're a transitioning teacher. But something keeps popping up and that has motivated me to revisit this topic because it's setting up so many people leaving education for failure in the long run. Don't lie about your experience on your resume. Now, what I'm specifically referring to here is that don't take the advice of people telling you to entirely change your job title to better line up with whatever you're transitioning into. For instance, I do change my job title and experience, but not to the point where I lie about it. As an instructional designer, I changed my title from teacher on that past experience to instructor instead. And that isn't lying because that is what I was, it just by a different name. It also tends to reframe those first questions I did ask, where they tend to want to know my instructional methodologies rather than the question of, oh, so you're a teacher, what else can you do? Same for when I call students learners. Again, that's what they were. I'm not lying about anything there. None of that is what prompted this discussion, though. What I am often seeing instead are teachers who want to become instructional designers, for instance, calling that past experience instructional design when it isn't. I've mentioned numerous times in the past that teaching and instructional design are not the same thing. Same with the advice of people telling transitioning teachers to call parents stakeholders when that's not what they were. Sure, you could make the argument that they were in a sense, but not to the point that you can equate it with stakeholders that you would work with in a normal corporate ID job. They don't overlap like that, and you are just misrepresenting yourself by doing so, thus setting yourself up for failure. Same goes for people wanting to become, say, customer success managers. Don't call your students customers on your resume. They weren't your customers, and all you're doing is lying by saying they were. Another example of this would be transitioning teachers going into sales and calling parents and students customers as well that way, or calling the administrators your project or program managers when again, they weren't that. Look, I get it. You want to seem marketable and like you are competitive in the industry you're transitioning into. That's a reasonable concern and motivation to have, after all. Taking the advice to do this might make sense in the moment, but all you're doing is being dishonest and setting yourself up to struggle with questions in an interview that you can't answer since you just changed your titles rather than doing the upskilling you needed to in order to actually market yourself as whatever you want to transition into. Own your past. Understand that your past experience filled you to the brim with soft skills you can use as a transition into any job. Teacher time management alone is highly sought after these days because of how efficient and quick we can do virtually every task, even if we're multitasking. Use these as starting points to reframe your teaching experience into your new career. This is because your new career shouldn't reframe your teaching experience. Don't get these two important points mixed up because it's problematic if you do and only makes you come off as disingenuous. Plus, it positions you to struggle in the long run. Make select word changes as I did here and there, sure, but not to the point that you distort your teaching experience. It's going to be a part of you forever. Don't shy away from it. If you're worried about not being taken seriously, I would ask you the question of, would you want to work for someone that scoffs and doesn't take you seriously for having been a teacher? Chances are probably slim, so it's best to just be honest, transparent, and show how you being a teacher can actually be an asset to a company rather than a hindrance. But that's all for today. I hope that really helped my transitioning teachers out there to slowly start moving to a different frame of mind on this topic. As always, if you need anything, have any questions, or want to leave a comment, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here to help. See you next time.